You open an app, you swipe left, you swipe right. Maybe you match, maybe you don't. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you think, this is just how it works now. This is just dating. But that gesture, that tiny, almost thoughtless flick of your thumb, is doing something that took hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution to figure out. And the way we do it now? It's so new, so radically different from everything that came before, that, by the standards of human history, it barely exists yet. For roughly 95% of human history, you didn't choose your partner. Not really. The concept of selecting a mate based on personal attraction, on compatibility, on a feeling, is, in the grand timeline of our species, almost a brand new idea. For most of the 300,000 years Homo sapiens have walked this earth, finding a partner had almost nothing to do with love. It had to do with survival, with proximity, with the family you were born into, the tribe you belong to, the village you couldn't leave. Think about what that actually means. We have been modern humans for 300 millennia. Romantic love as a basis for choosing a partner has been culturally mainstream for, at most, 200 years. That's less than 0.1% of our existence as a species. We are, most of us, operating romantic software that is almost entirely untested. Once you understand how ancient humans actually found partners and what we lost when that changed, you will never look at modern relationships the same way again. For most of human prehistory, mating happened within small mobile bands of roughly 25 to 150 people. Anthropologists call these our environment of evolutionary adaptedness. The social world our psychology was literally shaped to navigate. In these groups, everyone knew everyone. There was no mystery, no profile, no first impression. You had watched this person your entire life. You knew how they behaved when they were hungry, frightened, generous, or exhausted. Choosing a partner wasn't a decision so much as a recognition. Biological anthropologist Helen Fisher, who spent decades studying the neuroscience of love at Rutgers University, found that the brain systems associated with romantic attachment, dopamine, oxytocin, vasopressin, are ancient, deeply ancient. These circuits appear in species that diverged from our lineage over 4 million years ago. The feeling of falling for someone is not a modern invention, but the context in which that feeling was meant to operate was radically different from ours. Archaeological evidence from burial sites in Europe and the Near East, some dating back 30,000 years, shows consistent patterns of pair bonding. Single adults buried with what appear to be personal items of a partner, graves set side by side. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss, in his sweeping cross-cultural research published in the 1990s, documented that across 37 different cultures, from foragers to industrialized nations, humans show strikingly similar preferences: kindness, intelligence, reliability, traits you cannot possibly assess from a photograph. And here is the part that matters most. For almost all of human history, the people most likely to help you find a partner were the people who already knew you. Your community was your matchmaker, not an algorithm. Here is what almost no one talks about. Ancient humans almost certainly had more information about potential partners than we do, not less. We imagine our ancestors as limited, constrained by small populations and geographic isolation, forced to settle for whoever was nearby. But think about what nearby actually meant in a tribe of 100 people you had lived with for years. You knew their temper. You had seen them sick. You knew whether they kept their word. You had watched them with children, with elders, under pressure. Today, after 6 months of dating someone, neuroscientists suggest we are often still operating on what researchers call the limerence phase, a neurochemical state closer to obsession than knowledge. The ancient human choosing a partner from their band had likely observed that person through hundreds of ordinary, unperformed moments. They had genuine data. We, by contrast, are often making life-altering decisions based on a few curated photos, a clever bio, and 3 dinner conversations where both people are, consciously or not, performing. The thing that changed everything wasn't the internet. It wasn't dating apps. It was the city. When humans began urbanizing, we, slowly at first, then explosively after the Industrial Revolution, we extracted ourselves from the social ecosystems we had evolved inside. For the first time in history, people were surrounded by strangers, millions of them. The community that once filtered, vouched for, and contextualized potential partners simply dissolved. We became anonymous to each other, and into that vacuum, new systems rushed. Courtship rituals, formal introductions, classified ads in newspapers, matchmaking services, and eventually, the swipe. Every one of these systems was an attempt to solve the same problem. How do you find a trustworthy partner among strangers? And none of them, not one, has ever fully worked, because none of them can replicate what the ban could offer. Years of unfiltered observation. So here you are, carrying a brain built for a world of 150 people, navigating a dating pool of millions, trying to make one of the most consequential decisions of your life based on information that your ancestors would have considered laughably thin. And maybe that explains something. Maybe it explains why modern relationships so often feel like a mystery, why people who seemed perfect turn out to be strangers, why connection is so hard to sustain, why loneliness has become one of the defining crises of our time, even as we have more access to more people than any humans in history. We didn't lose the capacity for deep partnership. We lost the conditions that made it legible. So the question worth sitting with isn't why is dating so hard? It's what would it mean to actually know someone the way our ancestors did before deciding to love them. Think about the last person you trusted completely. How long did that trust take to build? And what did it actually require? Maybe the oldest technology for finding a partner was never a system at all. Maybe it was just time. Unhurried, unperformed, ordinary time, spent close enough to someone to see who they really are. We've optimized almost everything about modern life. We forgot to protect that